It's the November show with Lori from Purposely Unplugged. Where are we going today? What book are we going to talk about today, Lori?
We are talking about a book called Anchored, and it is by Deb Dana. You can acquire this book as an audiobook or you can get a hard copy. My clients tell me they like the hard copy better. What she'll do is be talking about something and then say, now stop and reflect on that. Or take a breath and think about when that happened to your body. So my clients have told me that they prefer the book because audio is difficult to do in the car.
Okay, and I think what we want to do is back up and sort of tell folks what this book is about and how it can help them a little bit because you gave me some information to look at, and I watched a video on it, and I got to tell you, I was amazed. I did not realize. I know we've talked about polyvagal before, but I didn't understand the deep root of it. And we should probably break this down to its simplest form for people because, I'm not the quickest guy, and you got to break these things down so I understand them, okay?
The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the body. It's carrying all the chemicals that are telling us that we're safe or that we're not safe, that a situation is okay or that a situation is not okay. And honestly, what's happening is the sympathetic nervous system is driven by fight, flight, freeze, fawn. That's cortisol, that's adrenaline. The parasympathetic nervous system is driven by chemicals in our body that are calmer and relaxing, joyful, like oxytocin. So some folks, including myself, Dave, I used to be in this position where I was living a life that was sympathetic driven. Cortisol, adrenaline, dopamine hits all the time. It revved my system up. I talked really fast. I moved really fast. I kind of had some issues with my emotions and anger. And now, Dave, that I've done all the training I have, I realize calming my parasympathetic nervous system, calming my vagus nerve is really key. And I've seen clients benefit from this. That's why I chose this book today.
I'm going to go off the board with the next question because in today's society, things move so quickly. I mean, boy, this must be one of the bigger problems socially that we're having, is it not?
Absolutely. And often, I mean, twice this week, this has come up with clients that are brand new clients. And I just start here. I start here, help someone co regulate and learn these things. But your question is about our society. Absolutely, yes. We have Instagram, Snapchat, all these things on our phone. And as well as that, our jobs. I mean, almost everyone I know is covering two jobs in one. Almost everyone I know. So work stress is high, home stress is high. Lots of us are living in that kind of state right now.
The other part too, and yeah, we could go on. We do a whole show on that, but I want to get to the book because watching sort of the video highlights today, um, I was really, I was really intrigued by her process of with the what your eyes say, what your mouth says, what you're hearing with touch. Like I think this is all in the book, correct? I want to, if you can explain a little bit of that, because it was, I always thought your brain was making those decisions or, making that first thought pattern, but it isn't, is it?
We're constantly reading the room around us. We're reading the people around us. And what you say about eye contact, you're right. There's a body language piece here where we're looking at people's eyes. We're reading their shoulders. We're reading their body. We're reading how quickly they're speaking and moving. We are trained to do this. There's so many studies, even with babies. Babies start learning this from their parents immediately. So our brain is wired that we are constantly seeking for information that we are safe or that we're not. And then the brain is responding to that. Absolutely. So our senses are key. One of the first things I do with everyone out on the property is 5 sense grounding, meaning we just calm, breathe, and really filter information from sight, hearing, taste, touch, and sensation.
Yeah. And I was just, and what she was saying about the next phase of that, sort of how that system can is influenced very early on. So if maybe there was a traumatic event early in that person's life, it's affecting that whole system, right?
That's the brain neurobiology perspective in this, that our neural responses are trained by how we feel, how our body feels. So that neural system and our automatic responses are getting programmed from a very young age from all the trauma that we might experience, as well as all the joy that we might experience. This goes both ways. So from a safety and security position, our body is either trying to drive to protect or drive to connect. Drive to protect is when we don't feel
Gotcha.
safe. That's the adrenaline. That's the cortisol. That's what's flooding through. But the drive to connect is more that joy piece, that oxytocin, those chemicals that are flowing through our nervous system.
And you can have that one disrupt, like you said, you're constantly in protection mode. Like it can be disrupted early on, and that sort of creates that. So you're constantly in that, like you said, in that state where everything's just in flux, where the cortisol levels are going crazy, and you don't know how to regulate yourself um, for acceptance to do that connection with other people. Man, that all just stems from your nervous system. Like that's the part that just blows my mind.
It does. And we actually have three states in our nervous system. The book talks about those and talks about how you can move through the states, how you can learn to calm your body. So, what I love about that book is it's full
Okay.
of strategies, it's full of things to do. Off camera, we were talking about canoeing, and it's something you and I both love. And that was just a lovely off camera conversation. But anything you can do to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system helps you then regain calm and regulate. And again, just find that sense where your body is calmer.
And a lot of people kind of probably chuckle at us because we're both sort of outdoor people, and I always tell you that I go for a walk in my woods, and if it's a crap day, it just changes the channel for me. It sort of gets me thinking clear again and sort of slows everything down. And I think that's part of the process, isn't it? Because like you said, you're so worked up, somebody might have said something, it's pissed you off, and you can't bring yourself down. But when you step out of the environment into a different one, that's sort of that feeling of joy, everything drops immediately.
And what you just talked about is the system within our body where we can stop, we can breathe, we can calm it, we can activate the parasympathetic nervous system. We can learn to do that. So just like society and life has trained our bodies to be in a sympathetic response, we can train our bodies to be in a parasympathetic response, which is that calming piece you're talking about.
So I know this is going to go down another rabbit hole, but I do have to ask this. So people that maybe can't find that moment of clarity, or find maybe the walk or what we talked about, things to do, are those people likely to turn to drugs and alcohol? Like, is that where that piece comes in sometimes to sort of glaze it all over?
In my opinion, the difference there is impulse control. So that is a whole nother rabbit hole. You are
Ah,
right.
gotcha.
So all of our bodies have the potential to be in the sympathetic nervous system, but not all of our bodies rely on substances to calm that. So that is a whole nother topic. You are right. But in my opinion, I see the difference as impulse control. So that self-soothing, the ability to learn to self-soothe under
Okay.
the parasympathetic nervous system.
And another point on this is because when we're talking about this and sort of how everything gets backed up or blocked, um, and this was a question that one of my clients had was, can that cause paranoia? Like in today's society, everybody has a conspiracy and a paranoia theory on whatever. Can that go back to that root problem that with the nervous system, or no?
The root problem might be there, but then
I'm
it's
putting
how
you on
the
the spot.
brain responds and copes. I know. It's how the brain finds ways to cope. So remember, we talked about neural processing and what we're strengthening in our neural response. It's really about how did that person learn to cope when they were young, when they were a teenager, and what neural responses they
Right.
have to coping. So some people may, I don't know, but that becomes a whole different discussion. In any situation, though, I really find it best to start with polyvagal, learn to calm the polyvagal before any of the other situations or considerations can be solved.
You talked about sort of some of the framework that she provides in her book. Can you give us another example? You and I just talked about going outside and being in fresh air, just turning that channel and readjusting. Is there any other ones you'd like to recommend or that you could suggest to people, I guess, or to me?
It can be almost anything. It can be people who like bubble baths. It can be people who like something that's sensory, like tea or things like that. It can be physical exercise. It can be reading a book. It can be any kind of distraction like knitting or quilting or whatever people might do. Physical activity is big on that list as well. There's so many things. If you research or Google parasympathetic nervous system calming, all of it will pop up. One of the biggest ones, though, is ice. So some of the ice plunge things we've heard about, and now I'm not going to do that, but I have those tiny little plastic ice cubes in the freezer, and if I need to, that ice cube right on my neck, right in the spot where your neck moves, and you hold the ice and hold the ice, and when the ice feels like it's too cold, you leave it and take 3 breaths. That's recalibrating your breathing, and it begins to bring back your parasympathetic nervous system, and it begins to bring back the vagus nerve. So ice is a big one that if you Google this, it's going to pop up.
The other aspect of that I watched this morning was just the part about communication. I do think that's probably, when you're meeting someone for the first time, sort of those indicators if this is someone you want to chat with or you're not comfortable with. I thought those were really critical too, because I think somehow, because of all the social media, we've lost some of those cues that we don't understand anymore. And that was kind of refreshing to see that. And it is kind of what you talked about earlier. It's critical that we have that communication with other people.
And the way she talks about that too is in these 3 states. When we're in one state, we are very connective and we do socialize and we're with people and it's easy for us to make that eye contact and communication. But one of the other body states, we're avoiding that emotional connection. We're avoiding that human connection. So that's actually a really big key when you read this book. How is that person functioning socially with other people? How are they reading cues? That is part of that. But I think the second part here, Dave, we live in a society now where it is Instagram and phones and texting. And so I think some of what we're seeing too, in particular the younger folks, is they might not have had the same access to socialization. And that might be part of this. And lots of people are spending, parents included, are spending more and more time on the computer, playing video games, or on their phone. So I would offer that one of the base social cues is make eye contact with people and put your phone down. I don't know how many times this year we've said, put the phone down. Make real connection with people. And she does talk about the difference in our body response in those different states.
Yeah, watching the video, and you've talked about this book before. It's a must read now on my list because it's the insight that I got just from the video itself showed me that, there's more here that I'm not really thinking about that I can probably use down the road for myself and other people for sure, and sort of understand who I am better. And I think that's part of it. You got to, one of the things that when we start doing this to help people grow, to be better, to be stronger, to understand yourself better. And I think that's this is a great example, this book, of how folks can do that and help themselves, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it leads right into next month because key to parasympathetic nervous system is breathing and adequate breathing. And there was a time in my life, Dave, where I had a professional say that I need to focus on my breathing and calm my breathing. And I was so stressed, I could not hear that message. Now, today, it's one of the books right on my shelf, and that is next month. That how we can regulate our breathing and how that affects the nervous system and allows us to be as calm as possible.
Interesting. How do people get a hold of you?
Phone is always good, 226-934-7425.
Thanks for doing this today, Lori. A great conversation. And I hope folks will pick up Anchored, I believe is the book, correct?
Anchored. Deb Dana, Anchored.
Take care. Thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Have a good day.